Hello everyone, my name's Adam Hooper, and I'm going to talk about how to safely fire and maintain your sidearm. Firearm safety is a really big topic because you always want to make sure that you're safely handling your firearm regardless of where you're at. Whether it be the range or it just be out in the woods where you're just firing with your friends. You always want to make sure that your finger is not on the trigger unless you are going to actively engage the target you're pointing your weapon at. You want to make sure your weapon is always pointed down range. That way you're not shooting anyone to the left or the right of you on accident, and you always want to know what's behind your target because you don't ever want to shoot through your target and injure maybe a deer that's passing through unintendedly, or if there was a person that threw something behind the range on accident, maybe, that you would actually shoot and hit them on accident. You always want to make sure there's nothing in your barrel as well, because if there's something in your barrel or a blockage somewhere in the barrel, your barrel will explode and the gun could actually hurt you or backfire, and backfires could kill you. And you want to make sure you always have the proper protection when you're firing your weapons. In this picture, this man is actually closing one of his ear holes with his pistol, and that pistol's probably loaded, and you can also see that his finger is in the trigger guard, and if something was to happen and his finger was to slip, he could shoot himself in the head. So you always want to make sure you have the proper protection. In this picture, the woman actually has safety glasses and hearing protection, and that's a really good habit to get into, because if you always have the proper protection, you know that you're not going to go deaf from firing your weapon, and you're also not going to have anything hurt your eyes. You also want to know your weapon up and down. You want to make sure you know every part of your weapon, because if that happens and you have a malfunction on the line or wherever you're at, you'll know how to fix that malfunction or stoppage. One of the most common stoppages actually is a double feed, and the immediate actions that you take are right here on this slide. Slap on the magazine, pull the charging handle to the rear, observe the chamber, release the charging handle, tap forward assist, and squeeze the trigger again. You always squeeze the trigger again just to make sure that the weapon can actually shoot again and that you're actually going to be able to engage your target. And if you see, you check out this, the kid actually has the weapon pointed at an angle. He has it pointed at an angle so he can still see down the chamber, but also when he pulls back on the charging handle, whatever comes out of the barrel is not going to hit him in the face. So this is an actual double feed, and most of the time all you have to do is when you pull back on the charging handle, tilt your weapon slightly to the side, you'll be able to see that there's a dual feed. You pull out your magazine, and most of the time the secondary ammunition will fall out, and also the stuck piece of ammunition will fall out, and then you'll be able to reinsert your magazine, pull back on the charging handle, get back on your target, and engage it as normal. But you always want to make sure after you get done firing that you're clearing out your weapon. So once you get off the line, you get to wherever you can clear it, and this is a clearing barrel, but most people don't have a clearing barrel. You're just in the woods. Clearing barrels are what the military uses, and once you get to it, you make sure that your weapon is safe. You make sure that you pull out your magazine, then you make sure you're still on safe, and then you pull the trigger to make sure you're not going to shoot anything and that the weapon is actually empty, because if it's not and you point your weapon at someone and shoot them, it's going to be a bad day for everyone, and there's going to be a lot of paperwork, and nobody likes paperwork. So after you get done clearing out your weapon, you want to make sure that you clean it properly. And most of the time, when I clean my handgun, I like to set everything in front of me. I want to make sure that I have the lubrication I need, which is a CLP, is what they call it. And you want to make sure that everything's set out. You have your brushes so you can clean every inch of the weapon, and you also want to make sure that you have your barrel rod. The barrel rod's important because you take patches, you put them through the barrel rod, kind of like threading a needle, and then you'll take that rod and you'll push it down into the barrel. And when you push it down into the barrel, it cleans out any of the excess carbon or anything else that's actually inside of your weapon at the time, because you want to make sure that there's nothing in your weapon, it's completely clean, and you can put it away and store it somewhere safe, because if you have a dirty weapon, it often leads to rusting of the weapon, and you don't want to deal with a rusty weapon. So always make sure that you have a safe place to store your weapons, because you don't want your friends coming over and you guys have drinks and then all of a sudden they go into your living room and grab your gun and start playing with it, acting like they're Jesse James, swinging it in the air with their 40s in their hands or whatever they do. And you want to make sure, if you have children, that you have your gun locked at all times. You want to make sure that you have a safety lock. That way the gun can't accidentally fire itself off as well, and it actually goes through the chamber, through the magazine weld. That way you can be positive that there's no ammo in the weapon at all. So you want to make sure that you have them locked away, even if you have this many guns, because the end of the world or zombie apocalypse or whatever people talk of that comes along the way, you want to make sure that you have them locked away until you need them. And that's it. Thanks a lot. Again, my name's Adam Hooper, and stay safe and keep your weapons safe and locked up.